What are the absolute essentials for any new war gaming and miniature hobbyist? Today, we're going to talk about just that. How's it going, everyone? My name is Kel, and you are watching Red Zone Miniatures. I am pretty new to the whole war gaming space. I am a TCG card gaming content creator and caster, just getting into this hobby, and I basically reached out to my audience, both here on Red Zone Miniatures and through my other channel, Red Zone Rogue, and my community Discord. And I kind of compiled what everyone thinks are the essentials for any new person into the hobby. And I went out and I bought them because that's me. I'm the target audience, right? I'm new to this. I wanted to get all of the essentials. I don't want any of the extra fluff. I don't need that right now. I just need like the essentials to have a good experience making minis, or rather putting minis together, painting them, and all of that kind of stuff. So that's what we're going to be doing today. If you've seen my previous two videos, we're not going to be recapping that kind of stuff, though we're going to be talking a little bit about those products. So obviously you'll need some sort of minis, whether you 3D print them or if you are like me who just went all out and bought the Command Edition for Warhammer 40K, you'll need some sort of minis or something to do that kind of stuff with. Like I said, I just bought like the starter set here. I also went ahead and bought a starter set of paints. This one right here, the Warhammer 40K paints and tool set, comes with a handful of paints and some other stuff that we're going to talk about once we get to the actual meat. So this is kind of how I started before I compiled this list and started buying everything that the community suggested. So now let's get to that. We'll get to the biggest thing first, right? This one is a cutting mat. So as you can see, I haven't opened the cutting mat yet. And this is just so I have some protection for my table, right? I don't want my table to get all scuffed up, either with paint or with like various cuts and all of that kind of shenanigans. So this is one of the first things I bought, want it to protect my table. As you can see here, I haven't even opened it yet. We're gonna be doing all that stuff in the future, gonna kind of get into making our minis. That's gonna be future videos, but for here, let's just talk about the essential. So I figured this one is an essential, and this one seemed like a pretty good one. I like the design. I like the black on it, but basically, it'll do its job, right? I wanted one big enough that will fit on my studio table here, just kind of right past my camera. So that's the one I opted for. You can get smaller ones, you can get bigger ones, but it's pretty simple. The other thing that I found like very, very useful is just something to carry it all in. This is just kind of like a hobby supply box that I bought from Michaels. If you shop around, I'm sure you can get them for great deals, but for now on, we're gonna switch to a top-down view so you can see the contents of this. Basically, the idea was to get a box, a storage box that I could fit everything else in, except for the minis. I wanna fit all of my supplies, the paints, the wet palette, just everything into this single box. So it's really easy to just pull this off the shelf and start painting or start assembling my mini. So let's go to the top down and check out what else is inside. All right, so here we have the cutting mat out of the shrink wrap. It is pretty sturdy and honestly a really good size for my table here. This one is an 18 by 23.5 inch, as you can kind of see here. Honestly, for branding, I just kind of bought a well-reviewed one off of Amazon. I'll be completely honest here. A lot of this stuff I bought locally, but some of the things that I couldn't find in stock locally, I just bought from the devil, basically. So anyway, yes, yeah, apparently this is a good one. Let's get into the real meat of the video, talking about all the stuff that I consider to be essentials, or a huge portion of the community consider to be essentials. So as I already kind of showed, we have this storage box here. This is a two-tiered storage box. We have the something that you can, like a tray that you can put stuff in on the top, and we have like a larger storage compartment on the bottom where you can fit larger things. So like I said, this was pretty cheap at Michaels, and it also has like these little latches. Not super special, but very effective, I think. Inside, we have a bunch of stuff. So here are all of the paints that came with the starter paint set. These are just your standard Citadel paints. As I get more paints and branch off into other brands, I hear Vallejo is a good one. Yeah, I'll be adding these here. I wanted to get also a, you can kind of see the height here. I wanted to get a box that I could fit the taller paints in, and I do believe they should fit in this one as well. And then we also have, you know, kind of a staple, you have your glue. And this is one that a ton of people recommended, people from my Discord, people from the last videos and Twitter. This is the Tamiya Extra Thin Cement. Apparently this one's really good because it's thin and helps fill in the seams when you're putting your minis together. And since it's kind of like this cement kind of thing, it almost fuses the plastic together. So it's really, really good for just, you know, sticking things together, obviously, but also for, you know, mitigating seams on your minis. So, yep, bought this. You can pick this one up at, you know, any, you know, store that sells this kind of stuff, hobby stuff, Warhammer store, or you can just buy it online. This is another one that I didn't think about, but a lot of folks recommended. This is an ergonomic handle for miniature painting. Let's go ahead and actually open this one up because there's some things in here that I have not opened yet. I kind of wanted to do this video before I started really getting into the mini making and painting, because once again, like I said, I'm sharing with you my whole journey here. So it does come with some mounting clay, which is this right here. Let's toss that. By the way, if you're curious, this is the brand. It's just the RGG 360 V2. This is one that was recommended by a good number of folks, so this is the one I ended up going with. And the whole point of this is to mount your minis onto, we have a magnetic on the bottom, but basically you mount your minis onto the top here with this with a mounting clay, and then you can like rotate them as you paint them, you know. So you'll have your mini on, and then you can just like paint it or whatever. So yeah, this was highly recommended, so I ended up picking one up. Also, we have an X-Acto knife. It's literally just an X-Acto knife. So yeah, this is good for cutting all of the extra stuff from your minis. If there's any like weird edges or anything poking off, this is what this is basically for. You can also use like sanding strips is what I heard. I have not yet picked any of those up, but it's on my list. But this one does a good job of it too. Just gotta be careful because, you know, it's an X-Acto knife. It could cut you. Next up, I bought this brush. This is just for dry brushing. It's just kind of like a, you know, a bigger, thicker tipped. I don't know the lingo for it, but I picked this up alongside this box at Michael's. It was pretty cheap, like a couple bucks or something like that. And I figured this is kind of what you want to have for dry brushing, so you can dry brush all of your minis. I plan on starting out doing what is called the slap chop method, since it seems pretty easy and it seems like a good way to kind of get into it before I get my full bearings. This is just the Citadel starter brush. That's exactly what it is. We have more brushes that we'll talk about later. And this is also came with the Citadel paints kit. And same with this file came with the paints kit. So I don't need to technically have the sanding strips, but you know, I have this that can do that as well. I do believe that's all that's in the top. Let's take this out and check out what we have underneath. So here is just another paint set. This was a pretty cheap paint set. I didn't want to get something too fancy while I'm starting, so if I ruin them, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I bought this for like 12 bucks or something like that, and I figured, you know, this is what we want. We want the finer tipped ones, and we can have something like this when we need to use something like this. It says it's professional, but you know, it's like $12, so not too big of a deal. And I heard that you don't really need super expensive brushes to begin with. And so I ended up going with this. Later, you know, as I get more experience and I know what the hell I'm doing, we can upgrade to some really nice ones. Another really important thing to go with those brushes is brush soap. This is one that was recommended by a lot of people, like I said, on my Discord, and I watched a few YouTube videos and they also recommended this one as well. This is the Joe Sonia brush soap and conditioner for cleaning and maintaining brushes. Let's see, we also have, this is just some Citadel Chaos Black spray paint. Basically, I bought this for primer. I was really considering buying an airbrush and doing that, but it seems like a lot of work to do it, especially for a beginner. So in order to do the slap chop method, I need to spray paint all of my minis with a black primer and then dry brush them white over the top of it to create shadows. And so I decided to go with a spray can instead. I just decided to go for the Citadel one because I found it, once again, at my LGS at a pretty good price. So, yep, that's what this is. So the Citadel color, Chaos Black. And then last but certainly not least, one of the most important things, I think, this is a wet palette, which is something that a lot of folks recommend because you're not going to be using a lot of paints. And so to preserve a lot of the paints that you are putting out onto your palette, having a wet palette makes them last a lot longer, not dry up, so you can have that longevity. And so yeah, this is the one I'm going to be using. A lot of folks just said buy whatever, and this is one that I ended up buying from Amazon because I couldn't really find any locally, and honestly I didn't try all that hard, but this was pretty cheap, and folks were like, you know what, it's not that big of a deal. Which one you get, they all work pretty well. So I ended up getting this one. Had pretty good reviews too. So that's a good reason why I bought some of this stuff, is like, yeah, it's got good reviews and highly recommended by the community, which is kind of the goal. And what's great is all this stuff perfectly fits back in here. We still have a ton of space in here for extra things, depending on what we're gonna be getting. I do plan on getting another bin to house my minis as I'm working on them. When I'm finished with them, they're going on the shelf. But while they're in progress, I need another little container here to do that. But yeah, that's basically it. I think these are the absolute essentials. They fit really, really compactly into this nice box. We just need to find a good place to store our cutting mat, and we are good to start our journey here. Yeah, I'm really excited. The next couple videos will not be the kind of like new starter supply type videos. We're gonna start, painting our first sets, and we'll probably talk about my experiences painting and assembling my first minis. I have a feeling that'll be in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. I plan on doing videos every week or two here on this channel, since this is currently just a little side channel for me. Current channel is Red Zone Rogue is my main channel. I talk about trading card games, specifically the Flesh and Blood trading card games, but all trading card games. Anyway, stay tuned for some more miniature starter journey stuff here on Red Zone Miniatures. At some point, we will not be a noob, and we will be fairly seasoned. So for now, we're just gonna kind of enjoy this new player, new hobbyist experience. Thank you so much for watching. Any other recommendations, please let me know in the comments down below. I welcome all what you would call backseating. Once again, I'm not an expert in this field. I'm an expert at TCGs, but I'm not an expert in this field. So I will take any and all recommendations to heart. I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.